Hey guys, welcome to Ben Wrenchin. My name is Ben and today I'm wrenching on this 2012 Hyundai Accent. I did an oil change and I also changed out an engine mount. And before I give the car back, I'm gonna go ahead and change out the O2 sensor that's at the back of the engine. I'm doing this because it's got a trouble code. The OBD port is right here. And I can plug in my scanner. And with the key on, I can scan for trouble codes. And it's got a P0420 code that is for catalyst system efficiency below threshold in bank 1, which is the front side of the exhaust. Most of the time, just changing out the O2 sensor won't fix that. I found most of the time I have to change out the catalytic converter to get rid of it. But for 20 bucks, you can get a Chinesium O2 sensor on Amazon. And it's pretty easy to change out because it's right back here on the back of the engine at the top. So this is the wire for it here, and it runs down here into the top of the exhaust pipe. So I can probably get to all of it from the top. I'll just unplug the electrical connector and then get this out. Swap it out with a new one and see if that fixes it. I'm gonna start by taking this cover off since it just pops off. And that'll give me a lot more room to get back here. The electrical connector is right here on the top of the engine. It's got a tab on this side, and I'll push that down and pull this connector out. And then this side just slides out of this bracket by pushing it back. And I can use a screwdriver to pry it out the rest of the way. And there we go. And I'll just need to pay attention to how that was in there. So this flat piece on the side with the wires is going to go down when I put the new one in, and it'll slide right into that bracket. There's a better look at that connector. It's just got a push tab right here. Push down on that and that separates it. With that disconnected, I can just take this wire out of these brackets. And then I can follow this wire down to where it connects into the exhaust pipe. And to get the actual sensor out, I'm going to use one of these O2 sensor sockets. This is a 7/8. I will link this in the description. If you're going to change out even a couple O2 sensors in your lifetime, this is a good investment because it's difficult to do with a wrench, and this just makes it really easy because it's got this slot that'll let you get around the wire. So I'll just put this through the wire and then feed it down to the actual end of the sensor, and I can just keep going down until it seats right on the sensor. And it is a 3/8 drive, so I'll get a 3/8 drive ratchet, get it into that slot, seat it as best I can, and then loosen it up. And there we go. Really not too bad. So once I've got it loose, I can turn it the rest of the way by hand. I'm gonna leave that socket on there because it makes it easier to turn. And you can turn the wire too to help you get it out. And there we go. Not too difficult to get out of there. And I can get my socket back off. And the O2 sensor is out of there. And I will compare the old sensor to the new one. I just want to double check and make sure the electrical connectors are the same. They've both got 6 pins in there. And then I'll double check and make sure this end looks the same as well. I'll remove this plastic cap. And you can see that the old one is pretty fouled up. It's got some pretty bad carbon buildup. So that could be what was causing the issue. It's entirely possible. So I won't be able to reuse this cover because I can't get it around either end of the sensor. So I will assume that this cover is going to be enough for this new one. I don't think they expect you to reuse it. It does have some kind of anti-seize on the threads, so we don't need to put anything on there. I think this is ready to install. So I'll go ahead and feed this in down there and get this threaded in. I'll just hold on to the wire while I do this and make sure it doesn't get twisted up as I thread this in. Just keep turning it until it gets seated. Slide my socket through the wire and seat it down there. Turn it a little more by hand, and then I can get my ratchet on there and tighten it down the rest of the way. And I'm sure there's a torque spec for this, but I'm not gonna be able to get my torque wrench in here, so I'll just tighten it down as much as I can. I'll clip these wires back into these brackets here. I'll get this connector back into the bracket with the flat side facing down. I'll just slide this back into the bracket. And then snap this connector back on. Give it a tug, make sure it doesn't come off. And then I can pull these wires through to make sure they're not close to the engine and they're not kinked anywhere. And double check and make sure everything looks good. So I'll put this cover back on. It's just got these 4 spots that go onto these 4 posts here. I'll line up the back 2 first. And then make sure the front 2 line up. And just push down on the top. And that's really all it takes. The easiest way I think to clear the engine code is just to remove the negative battery terminal. You just have to leave it disconnected for about 10 minutes. So I'll just pop this off and wait 10 minutes. And while you wait, if you want to get the engine bay as clean as I got this one, all I used was some simple green, sprayed the whole engine bay, and then used a steamer to blast it all off. Blow it off with some compressed air, and you get the engine bay real clean without scrubbing it. It doesn't look perfect, but I think it's good enough. And after 10 minutes, I can go ahead and reconnect this. All right, and with that tightened down, we'll check and see if the code's clear. And you can also use one of these fancy scan tools to clear the code. I don't like using this because it has to update every time I turn it on. And 20 minutes later, this is ready to use. Just kidding, it's got a Hyundai update. But I can also use this to clear the fault code. Yes, I did not come all this way not to do this. And there we go, we can see it's cleared. So that takes way too long, that's why I prefer just disconnecting the battery. And if you do that, you can just hook this back up and make sure that the code's not there. So that's way easier, I kind of prefer using those. But that's really it for the O2 sensor. So I'll have to drive around for a while and make sure the code doesn't come back. If it does, the next place I go is to replace the catalytic converter. Those aren't as expensive or difficult to replace as you would think, but for 20 bucks and a little bit of time, I like to start with the O2 sensor. So that's it for this one, guys. Just a quick one to show you that O2 sensor. Be sure to check out my other videos on this car, and I will catch you guys in the next video.